Hello, welcome to Motorcycle News and the Aprilia Srgt scooter. Now remember, if you're on the hunt for a used bike, head to Motorcyclenews.com and click on bikes for sale to find thousands of used examples available right now. So what is the Aprilia Srgt? Aprilia have positioned this as an SUV on two wheels, which I think is probably exaggerating it a little bit, but it gives you an idea of what they had in mind when they designed the scooter. So it's only a 125, they also do a 200, but you only get a couple of extra horsepower. But it's designed to look as though you could do an awful lot more, so they've used superbike styling on the front. It's got the twin headlights like they have on their RSV superbike. The footboards are designed to look a little bit like bash plates on an adventure bike. The sport version of it that I rode, that's a couple of £100 more, also has swathes of fake carbon fibre all over it. You get a #BeARacer sticker on the front mudguard. So it's sort of a 125 city scoot, but dressed up a little bit to look like something a little bit more. It's trying to compete with things like the Honda Forza, or the Yamaha X-Max, or even the Italjet Dragster. Just scooters that offer the owner a little bit more in the riding experience. Now, obviously a 125 scooter is never going to be a true GT model. You're not going to go touring the south of France on it. And Aprilia know that as well. But it's more just that status symbol of having a really nice looking, cool looking bike that will get you to work absolutely fine. And then if you want to go and have a little explore on the weekends, then you can do that too. And I think they've positioned it really well for that. The only disappointment for me is that the 200 ought to be more like a 300 or a 350, because in the UK you're going to have a full license to ride one anyway, but you only get that couple of extra brake horsepower. It's not quite enough in a national speed limit to be nipping around traffic. It's okay in the city centre and it'll win you a traffic light GP, but it could just do with that little bit more. Because as I say, if you've already got to take a full bike licence to have one, they might as well have given it a little bit more power. So things that are really good about the Srgt, the main thing really is the handling. It handles like a small motorbike. So even though you sit on it with your knees together in a sit-up and beg riding style like you would on any scooter, the ground clearance is such that you can really chuck it into corners. If you overcook it a little bit, you can just give it a little squeeze on the back brake and it'll pull you into the apex. And I'm talking about apexes on a scooter, but it really does feel that way. It's so much fun to ride if you get out into twisty roads away from the town centre, and that's because they've given it these mid-size wheels. So they're not normal tiny 12-inch scooter wheels. You get a 13 on the rear and a 14 on the front, but that isn't a full big wheel scooter size either. So in traffic, if you're filtering through or whatever, it's still really nimble. It'll still turn on a sixpence. But the payoff with having the slightly larger wheels is that when you get out into flowing roads, it has that feel of a motorbike. The brakes are pretty good, nothing special, but nothing more than you need for a 125 scooter. It only weighs 144 kilos ready to ride, so you don't need really powerful brakes to be able to handle that. And it's also got brand new tyres. It's got Michelin Anarchy scooter tyres, which is a new size for that tyre. It usually gets fitted to on-road, off-road adventure bikes and stuff like that. And they look really rugged, they're great in the wet. It's a really good choice of tyre for a scooter. Now obviously with a twist and go 125, the engine is what the engine is. Piaggio have made twist and go 125s for years now, hundreds of thousands of them, and they know what they're doing. Obviously it's a twist and go, so you just get a load of revs and then the clutch sort of feeds the power in. It gets off the line well. It's a solid little engine. Again, the disappointment for me is that the 200, which is actually a 175cc engine, brand new for this year, could do with being a little bit bigger. Maybe if it was a genuine 200 instead of a 175, that would do the job. But to only get another couple of brake horsepower, if they're trying to fight things like the new Honda ADV 350, for example, that's got a big step up in power from a 125, and I don't think the Aprilia does the same job. As you'd expect with a knees in front of you scooter, you get a load of storage underneath the seat. You can't fit a full face helmet in it, I tried, but you can get an open face in and probably some jet helmets if that's what you've got, which is obviously what everyone will be wearing when they ride these in Europe. But you could get a decent amount of shopping in there if that's what you needed to do, or your work gear if you were commuting on it. There's plenty of room under there. In terms of value, the Srgt is a little bit more expensive than really top-selling 125s in this country at the moment, things like the PCX 125. But in terms of other GT scooters, or scooters that are positioned as being a little bit more, it's actually one of the cheapest. The standard Srgt 125 costs £3,700 or £3,800 for the sport version. The standard 200 costs £3,900 and then it's £4,000 for the sport model. So what does the sport version actually get you? Well, in real terms, you get a tinted screen and you get a much better range of colours. But that's about your lot, really. I said before, you get the fake carbon fibre, which looks cool, but it's not really gaining you anything. But it is only £100 extra over the standard model. So the real crux of the matter, would I buy an Aprilia Srgt? If I lived in a city centre and I was looking for a scooter to commute on, chief amongst my decision making would be price. And for that reason alone, I'd go for something like a PCX 125. If I wanted a scooter that I could then take out on a weekend, explore a little bit further out of the city, have some fun on, then yeah, 100%. I'd go for an Aprilia Srgt. The fun that you can have in the corners, the lean angles that you're able to achieve, and the way it looks, the whole attitude of the bike, for me it's a cut above other scooters that I've ridden. And it's got something about it that's really difficult to put into a star rating or into a review like this. It's got charisma. It doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. It could feel a little bit tragic that it's got sporty touches and it's emulating a sports bike and it's got fake aero fins on the front and it's got all that pretend carbon fibre, but somehow it doesn't. It's got a charismatic feel to it. It feels cheeky, it feels like it's just having good fun, and for that I really applaud it. I don't think Aprilia are going to sell very many of the 200 in this country. They might do in certain European cities. I know that in Milan you have to have a slightly larger engine to be allowed onto the ring road, for example. But I don't think in the UK, where you have to have a full licence to buy one or to ride one, that people will go for the 200. I think the 125 will be more popular. I think it will also offer a nice step up for people who have had a 50 and are looking to get a 125 if they've done their A1 licence. But I don't think the 200 will sell particularly well. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe so that you don't miss future bike reviews. And remember to head over to Motorcyclenews.com where you can find the full written review of this bike.